We've seen many times that adolescents will often push boundaries. In many ways, that's how they learn, assuming that those boundaries are properly enforced. So the kids learn what is and what isn't acceptable. We also know that young people are prone to act out, often another way of learning. But normally the worst that happens is that there is an argument and a kid gets grounded. Though there can, in some circumstances, be a level of aggression and violence. What we do not expect is for such an adolescent to escalate to murder. We're heading to Russia and to 2015 to look at a case that will leave you, if you're anything like me, feeling angry at how the Russian system dealt with minors at that time. This is the tragic case of Karina Zalesova, and this is Murder of Crows. Novosibirsk is the largest city and administrative center of Novosibirsk Oblast and the Siberian Federal District in Russia. As of the 2021 census, it had a population of 1,633,595, making it the most populous city in Siberia and the third most populous city in Russia, behind only Moscow and St. Petersburg. Additionally, it is the largest city in the Asian part of Russia and the most populous city in the country that does not have the status of a federal subject. Novosibirsk is located in southwestern Siberia on the banks of the Ob River. Novosibirsk was founded in 1893 on the Ob River crossing point of the future Trans-Siberian Railway, where the Novosibirsk rail bridge was constructed. Originally named Novo-Nikolaevsk in honor of Emperor Nicholas II, the city rapidly grew into a major transport, commercial, and industrial hub. Novosibirsk was ravaged by the Russian Civil War, but recovered during the early Soviet period and gained its present name of Novosibirsk. Under the leadership of Joseph Stalin, Novosibirsk became one of the largest industrial centers of Siberia. Following the outbreak of World War II, the city hosted many factories relocated from the Russian core. Novosibirsk is home to many notable places, such as the Neo-Byzantine Alexander Nevsky Cathedral, the Novosibirsk Opera and Ballet Theatre, as well as the Novosibirsk Zoo. It is served by Tolmachevo Airport, which is the busiest airport in Siberia. On the 2nd of September 1962, the population of Novosibirsk reached 1 million. At that time, it was the youngest city in the world, with the population exceeding 1 million. Novosibirsk took fewer than 70 years to achieve this milestone. On the 8th of June 1965, the city was the scene of a dramatic aerial stunt when Lieutenant Valentin Privalov flew his MiG-17 under the October Bridge. An image which purportedly showed the event was later found to be a photo collage. In 1979, work began on the Novosibirsk metro transit system, culminating in the opening of the first line in 1985. On the 1st of August 2008, Novosibirsk was in the center of a path of a solar eclipse with a duration of 2 minutes and 20 seconds. But this isn't the darkness we will be discussing today. That particular darkness happened in 2015. On August the 28th, 2015, 16-year-old Karina Zalesova had just attended an orientation at her new high school. Her father drove her to the meeting. She was the only child of the Zalesova family, a straight-A student, self-taught in Japanese, and aspiring to become a doctor. To support her ambitions, her parents transferred her to school number 23, which had a well-recognized chemistry and biology track. And following the visit that evening, the family planned a celebratory dinner, and rightly so, as she was clearly a clever cookie who could likely achieve anything that she wanted to do. But Karina asked to take a short walk instead, promising to be home by 6. She never came home. Her phone went silent. When her father went to meet her at the bus stop, she was not there. After hours of desperate calls to friends, hospitals, and police, the parents reported her missing. They even called around morgues, fearing that the worst could have happened. In actual fact, the worst had happened, but it would be the police that broke the news to the devastated family. And when the truth came from the police, it was that Karina had been murdered by the boy she once dated. His family insisted it was a double suicide attempt, claiming that Karina had begged him to end her life. But the investigation would go on to reveal a much darker story. Earlier on the day she vanished, Karina had received a call from her ex-boyfriend, 16-year-old Mark Konkov. They had met a few years earlier at a friend's birthday party. Karina described him to her parents as a very good boy, someone unusually intelligent, who had read all of Dostoevsky. On their first date, her parents even drove her to the movie theatre to see him for themselves, as any parent would want to do. And her father remembered thinking, a smart kid, mature beyond his years, he'll go far. Now, Mark came from a wealthy family. His father, Igor, owned multiple companies in the construction and metallurgy industries. His mother was a psychologist. The family had 5 children and lived in a spacious home that Karina often visited. But over time, the relationship soured. Karina came home in tears, telling friends that Mark had become aggressive and unstable. He barely slept, experimented with strange behaviors, and sometimes even lashed out physically. Her friends recalled him insulting her and even hitting her. But Karina kept forgiving him. Her parents urged her to end things, and Karina promised that she would, and eventually told them that they had broken up. And this was about 6 months before her disappearance. But in reality, during that time, the relationship remained turbulent and was an on and off kind of deal. So all of this led the police to the Konkov home on the night of Karina's disappearance, since he knew her very, very well. And at the Konkov's home, officers discovered Karina's body with multiple stab wounds. According to Mark's father, his son had tried to hang himself and was saved by Igor's intervention. Mark had just turned 16 that day. The police quickly confirmed that the dead girl was indeed Karina. Initially, a local judge placed Mark under house arrest. Karina's parents were horrified, and understandably so, as they were very afraid that the case would drift by and be buried. They went public on city forums, gaining support and finding a lawyer. The community rallied around a family so grotesquely wronged, and the community erupted. An online petition demanding Mark's arrest gathered nearly 100,000 signatures in less than a week. A proposed rally of 2,000 people was blocked by authorities. But public anger and outrage was obvious by this point, and public anger forced investigators to appeal the judge's decision. On September the 9th, 2015, Mark was taken into custody. A psychiatric evaluation found him partially sane. Make it make sense. Diagnosed with schizotypal disorder and a probable tendency towards sadism. You don't fucking say. The trial began in summer of 2016. Karina's parents demanded the maximum sentence for a minor. 10 years in prison. Fucking piss poor. Why the system lacked the ability to try him as an adult, or allow judges greater flexibility, especially in view of violent crimes, is beyond me. Karina's parents also sought financial compensation for moral damages and funeral costs, and damn fucking right too. Mark's defense insisted that Karina had asked him to kill her, portraying it as a suicide pact. His lawyer claimed Mark stabbed her only to end her suffering quickly. Did he need to stab her that many times? Fuck me. And what a fucking empathetic hero. We should erect a statue of this fucking star among men. But wait. Just hold your fire there, people. When questioned directly, Mark contradicted that story, and his words were chilling. I wanted to kill, so I did. Evidence showed that he stabbed Karina about 25 times, beat her with his fists and a wooden figurine, and even unlocked her phone with her dead finger so that he could call a friend. He said that the killing of a friend felt pleasant. Jesus Christ in a motherfucking Uber. Konkov's father, construction tycoon Igor Konkov from Novosibirsk, even disputed the court finding that the killing was a murder of special cruelty. He was quoted by Russian media as saying, "There was no special cruelty. I saw her body and she looked normal. She was just dead. We are from different strata. No one invited her to our house. She came by herself. Fuck me, what planet is this fucking man on? Boo! On October the 31st, 2016, Mark Konkov was sentenced to 9 years in a penal colony with mandatory psychiatric treatment. The court also ordered compensation to Karina's parents, later reduced to about $9,000 each. In prison, Mark repeatedly violated rules, attempted suicide, and was eventually labelled a malicious violator. I guess a leopard never changes its psychopathic, deluded, and self-absorbed spots. In December of 2023, after serving his term, he was released. His prison record noted dozens of infractions, tendencies towards self-harm, and no signs of rehabilitation. Yep, you got that. Just 8 years after a brutal murder, followed by multiple rule breaks in prison, revealing more of his true nature, this shit biscuit was a free man. What the actual fuck? I have no words. Make it make sense, please. When journalists later reached out to his father, he admitted bitterly, "My son didn't get enough punishment." Too little, too late, I'm afraid, Igor. And the apple rarely falls far from the tree. So we have to wonder where Mark learned his entitlement, his selfishness, and his tendency to ignore and ride roughshod over the rules. Strokey beard, I wonder where he could have got those behaviours from. Karina's murder left deep scars on her grieving parents, on the community that fought for justice, and on the public memory of a city shocked by senseless violence. For many in Novosibirsk, the case became a symbol of how fragile justice can be, and how far ordinary citizens must sometimes go to demand it. But can we honestly say that this was really justice? A family lost a cherished soul, highly intelligent, and an overachiever with the world at her feet. And the violent and sociopathic perpetrator, although only 16 at the time, was released back into society aged only 24, with a life of possibilities ahead of him. Possibilities that were denied to Karina Zalesova. As much as this case shines a light on violence even in adolescent relationships, it also highlights big issues in Russian legal proceedings, especially when there is a disparity in perceived status between the victim and the perpetrator. Relative wealth, status, and standing should have no bearing in a court of law. I mean, to think that it will not have any effect is probably blinkered and naive. In so-called Western countries, where the systems are at least somewhat more transparent, there is greater room for the media and for the public to challenge any imbalances that they see. But in stricter and more controlled systems, the opportunities to challenge or to pressurize the system are much fewer. Thankfully, in this case at least, the community saw the gross unfairness and stood together to bring that pressure to bear. But it serves to show how difficult it can be to see a measure of justice done in certain countries and certain systems. So we are left with something of a bitter taste in our mouths, as a beautiful and intelligent young lady on a path to great achievement was taken from the world, and her killer is already free to get on with his life, showing little in the way of remorse or rehabilitation. She is the one who should be remembered and memorialized, while he should be forgotten. But it would be fair to say that I, for one, will continue to consider him a risk to society as long as he remains free. This episode is dedicated to this warm and bubbly young lady who died far, far too soon and would undoubtedly have been a force for good in the world. I send love to her friends and family, and to all of those affected by the tragic events in Siberia in 2015. Thank you for watching another episode of Murder of Crows. Feel free to leave a comment with your opinions on this case, which, quite frankly, has pissed me off and blown my mind in equal measure. And please subscribe if you haven't yet, as it really, really helps me out. But with all of that said, I'm Steve. This is Samson, and we will see you when we see you.
ready